My partner cheated on me and repeatedly lied. My partner, I'll call them Kai, broke up with me 4 or so months back. We had had a bad argument the night before and the day of they had been working, and afterwards they were supposed to meet me and our friends at a gig. They didn't turn up, and a couple hours later I questioned if I had gotten the time they left work wrong, so left it for another hour. I finally asked my friend who worked at the same place what time they finish, and they said the time I had initially thought they finished. By this point, they were roughly 4 hours late. I called them, and they had said they had met a girl at work and gone back to her flat to chill and smoke. This immediately sent me into a spiral that basically destroyed the rest of the evening. I didn't actually think they would do anything, but the fact that we had had a massive argument and they hadn't come home to sort it and come to the gig really stressed me out. I then called every couple hours, and at midnight, they told me they were on their way home, and then proceeded to not turn up until 3 a.m. in the morning when they broke up with me. The main reason. This really frustrated me is because if I had done this, Kai would have been crying down the phone at me, losing their dump, scared that I was whoever I was with. I also have BPD and a big fear of abandonment due to trauma, which they know I have massively worked on this, to the point it is not even really a problem. After we broke up, I had found out that while they were at this girl's flat, they had both been in her room and there was a lot of tension, but Kai said they were in a relationship and couldn't do anything, even though they wanted to. They then spoke about our relationship and the struggles they were dealing with, because I have BPD depression and an eating disorder. A week or so after I went to pick my stuff up from their parents' place, we went for a walk and spoke about everything, and that if I went into therapy, we could at getting back together again. We even kissed. We decided that we weren't back together, but we wouldn't have any sort of relationship with anyone else. And we would still be monogamous. We have previously been polygamous. We spoke about what happened with the girl, and while it wasn't okay for them intentionally, put themselves in a position with someone they felt attracted to, especially spending 8 hours at this girl's flat under the circumstances and how uncomfortable it made me feel. We started working on our relationship, taking space, but also going on holiday. And I even went to spend Christmas with them and their family, which was lovely. A day or so after Christmas, we decided to get back together again. A couple days after Noai, I didn't fully trust them, despite the fact that I had asked hundreds of times if they had heard of the girl, to which they always said no. So when they were out for a run, I checked their phone. I felt so incredibly guilty about it, but there it was, messages between Kai and the girl, dating back to the exact day that me and Kai kissed when I went to pick up my stuff from their parents. That same evening, after agreeing to be monogamous, they texted and made plans to sleep together. The exact quote was, "Meet up about 3, have some raucous, a pastime, and then head to the gig that sticks in my memory." They made numerous plans to hang out, presumably to shag. Even while me and Kai were on holiday the week before Christmas, Kai canceled every single one, apparently because they just couldn't go through with it. When I confronted them and said, "Have you heard of the girl?" they said no. I asked them repeatedly, and they still said no. I showed them the messages, and they finally gave in. We spent several weeks talking about it, and they were a wreck. They said that would go to therapy or couples therapy, and so many other things that seem very genuine, especially about the fact they wouldn't lie to me again. They never have lied to me before any of this, and I'm pretty certain. Generally, we are really good at communication. So much that people have commented, "Oh, how healthy our relationship is." And I would agree. Up until this point, 3 days ago, I spoke to the girl in question. She is now living with several of my friends, and it was one of their birthdays. She had said she would be out all evening, but ended up coming back and said she would be in her room. I rather drunkenly decided to go and talk to her when I heard her voice when I was walking to the toilet. We spoke, and I asked her what happened from her perspective of that night. That is when she told me they kissed several times. I called Kai immediately, and they didn't lie this time. I had asked them so many times over the last however many months if anything happened more that night, and they promised me they hadn't. They proceeded to tell me everything. After they initially said they were in a relationship, they kissed her several times over and even got on top of her. This specifically makes me feel incredibly sick that they were hard. I don't know why, it just breaks my heart. She then walked them home, and they kissed before they came in and broke up with me. I felt like such a dumb person when we broke up, and that it was all my fault because of my mental health and everything. I had put them through with my BPD, just to find out that moments before they were on top of some gear. I don't know what to do. I know it seems so obvious to break up with them, but they are, other than this, one of the most incredible, interesting people I have ever met. This is a person I would marry and have children with. They have said that they felt incapable of telling me and that they had repeatedly tried but knew it would crush me and physically felt like they couldn't. They seem so serious about getting therapy, even if I don't stay with them. They have spent hours researching therapies and other things. They have been incredibly supportive of whatever discussions I make and have promised that this will never ever happen again. I do know that if we hadn't been in such a bad place, that this wouldn't have happened, but I don't know if I can ever truly trust them ever again. Bro, this is a really difficult situation, and I think you need to get over it as soon as possible and not get hung up on it, even if you have depression, and it could cause you to have an even more severe degree of it. This does not give them the right to hide it from you. They should have understood that it could only make you worse, so I think you should leave them and move on. You deserve more good luck. You can either choose to stay with someone who shows you they are not capable of the truth and consistently lies, not trustworthy, or leave them be. That girl isn't going anywhere, and kissing will move to sleeping with her. I mean, she lives with your friends, so she will constantly be around. Focus on you and your partner sounds like they're not worth the trouble. Story 2. I don't even know where to start. I met my ex-girlfriend in college, and we got along great. I believed she was the one for me, which I know is super naive, but we just clicked and had so many similarities. She is the kindest, most loving person, and would do anything for anyone. We were talking for a while, but she was also talking to this girl. Let's call her Cassie. She ended up dating Cassie and told me we couldn't be friends anymore due to our chemistry making Cassie uncomfortable. I completely understood and stepped back, even though I was devastated to lose her. About a year goes by, and I had some emotionless one-night stands to try to forget about her, but I never did. I would constantly look at her socials to see how she was doing, and over time, she seemed to be doing worse and worse. Then a few months later, out of nowhere, I get a text on Halloween, and she just says she's always loved me and not Cassie, and the only reason she got with her was because of Cassie's poor mental health, and she believed she was codependent on her. Now looking back, this is a huge red flag. Anyway, they broke up and we started meeting up loads, and I just felt alive again. Being with her was wholeheartedly the happiest I've felt in my whole life. I am a very independent person and never rely on other people for my happiness, but with her, it just seemed to double or triple any amount of joy I was feeling. We started dating and it was genuinely magical, but Cassie was still in her friendship groups, so they would see each other from time to time. Cassie was still really not doing good mentally or physically, which included my ex having to take her to hospital a couple of times and not being able to distance herself from her, as she was a very prominent carer in her life, even though it made me uncomfortable how much they spoke. Then, the night before my birthday, I receive a phone call from my girlfriend at the time of her bawling her eyes out, apologizing over and over, saying Cassie was going to unalive herself, so she had to go and pick her up the night prior, and I was reassuring her that was okay and it's fine, until she told me she had slept with her. I instantly ended the phone, and my heart shattered into a million pieces. I felt like my entire life had gone in 1 second. I was staying at a hotel with my mom as we were watching a concert and had to go to the hotel lobby. As I was crying so hard, my mom worried about me, waking the people in the rooms next to us. The next day, my 18th birthday, I meet up with her to talk absolutely, screaming and crying at her as she talks me through what happened. She tells me how she slept with her once, and she regrets it and thought of me the entire time, and all of the usual cheater talk. I then went completely numb and emotionless for the rest of the day, until I get a text from a friend who had spoken to Cassie, and Cassie had told her that they had done it 5 times and exchanging I love yous and all sorts of intimate stuff. This made me again feel devastated, until my girlfriend of the time says that the first time they had wild night, but then she had said she didn't want to anymore, and Cassie had forced her to the other 4 times. She goes on to tell me how traumatized traumatic this was, and how she was so scared, and completely broke down in my arms, leading me to stay with her and decide to work through it. At first it was awful, but time heals most things, and it started to get better, although there was still a lot of resentment and so little trust. 8 months later, she breaks down crying the night before my best friend's birthday and tells me that she had lied about the lack of consent, and everything Cassie had said in the message was true. That exact same feeling came back that I'm sure if you are in this group, you are all familiar with, where your heart drops to your stomach. She tells me how much she has changed and how she just wants to love me, and that is it. So after so much talking, I decide to stay with her. I am still not sure whether I was just in a state of delusion or if I truly believed her. We dated for about 2 more months until she started being really aggressive and unkind. Her reasoning for this was that she couldn't trust me, because if she was capable of doing something like that, then anyone is. Eventually, I broke up with her after finding out she was logged in on my social media and had been reading my messages between me and my friend, where I had been talking about how I couldn't take her anger anymore. We stopped talking, and I went down an awful hole of self-hatred. And after a couple of months, I reached out to her again, when I was very intoxicated, and she was over the moon to see me and hated that I wasn't doing well. So much so that she bought me my first car. She said she's going to stick around until I am back on my feet because she knows me best and she wants to talk through some of the things she did when we were together, because she never really gave me any closure or even a genuine explanation due to her going into hysterical tears anytime I asked questions about what had happened. I can't even say no because truly I want her around, which I know is probably the stupidest thing ever, but I have missed her so much. She also slept with 2 people whilst we were not speaking, which even though I shouldn't be upset about, I really am, considering I haven't been able to look at anyone else in that way since we got together. You may call me the most stupid person in the world, which maybe I am, but she just has a way of making it all seem not that bad. The only advice I've been given by friends and family is, you are either over it or not. But I understand, as none of them have ever been in this position. Does anyone have any advice or been through similar? Hey bro, I think you should try to give it a chance again. Although I wouldn't normally say that we're all people with our own problems, but it seemed to me like she was trying to change. Yes, I agree that tracking your messages with someone is too much, but I think it arose because of her self-doubt. You need to work this out, and you need to make it clear to her that no one else is interested in you. Perhaps some or most will tell you that it's not worth wasting your time on this, but I think you both need to become a little more confident and strong in order to survive all the difficult moments that you've been through. There is no perfect relationship. We have all been through something. So I wish you good luck, bro, and do not doubt that everything will be fine. After the black stripe, there will definitely be a white one. You're a glutton for punishment, mate. You need to separate and get this woman out of your life. The lies, deception, and infidelity just keeps on repeating. And as long as you are with her, they will keep repeating. Block her on all your socials and on your phone. Do whatever you need to do to make sure you never see her again. Somewhere, there's a girl out there who won't cheat or deceive you and will remain loyal to you, but you won't find her whilst this toxic girlfriend is in your life. Get rid of her and prosper. I'm sorry, but the only advice I have for you, you don't want to listen. She isn't making any good to you. She is toxic to you. The best for you is block her on everything she has to come to reach you and ask to mutual friends and familiars to not update you about her first. It will be hard, but time heals everything, and as the months are passing, the better you will. Some answers are roundabout and not easy to find. It has been a long time since I learned about how empaths attract narcissists. And because narcissists are so incredibly self-centered, an empath can be pulled into an affair. Similar to emotional affairs are easily started by asshole groomers that simply overshare and cause the empath to reciprocate. And empaths feel the pain of others and want to help the pain lessen or go away. Empathy happens within us by degrees, some far more than others. But the power of oversharing cannot be ignored. Can you cheat on someone and still be an empath? I just found out I am an empath, and I got excited because I finally found out why I am the way I am. And then I told my boyfriend about it, and he quickly told me how he is the exact same. and went on saying how he is exactly like an empath, and he relates so much, and I got really upset because he has cheated on me, and I know it's bad, I'm still with him, but I don't want to be judged by that, but I told him how I don't believe he is, and he told me that just because he cheated, that doesn't mean he can't be an empath, but he even told me when he cheated that it was because he just cared about himself, because he was looking out for himself first, because he thought I was cheating too. Is it possible he can still be an empath? I don't think so, because I myself know I can never do that to someone. To find more, keep trying with various phrasing changes. Good luck.